Hello and welcome. I'm Ian Unger.
And I'm Logan Flaming.
And together we host the Ultimate Fan Podcast, the show where the greatest fans discuss the greatest in entertainment across the universe.
Cool stuff for cool people.
All the coolest. You guys, our greatest fans, the greatest fans. Today...
Also our only fans.
Yeah.
By default, if you're listening to this.
Not
Unless you're a hater and you listen to this.
Not even our mothers
Well,
are...
that's impressive if you already have haters.
Yeah.
Really?
That means we're doing something right.
Yeah.
The first
You
haters
have
were about our
impressed
logo.
someone.
I was wondering how long it'd be before that
Before we
came
made
up.
a joke about our logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on.
So today we're talking about we've arrived in our review of the MCU.
We're going to finish phase 1 tonight.
It's the
Heck
Avengers, everybody. The moment you've been waiting for.
It's Justice League.
Yeah, and
Get
tonight
out.
we have a couple of guests with us. Our good friends, Caleb and Cassie. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I think one of those is more than a good friend to you, Ian.
Yes,
Me.
it's
Yeah.
Caleb.
Okay.
It's Caleb.
Some-
Glad we agree.
Some of you may have noticed when listening to the first episode if you're observant, but Ian and I are actually married, which is why we have the same last name.
What?
Joined together in
Oh,
holy
that's why we have
matrimony.
the same last
Yeah,
name.
not brother and sister.
Yeah.
Let's get into the movie.
Yeah. So it came out in 2012.
The year we were all supposed to die, but didn't.
but
What?
didn't because
Psych.
Avengers
By
saved us.
2012.
Remember the movie?
Because that's what the
2012?
minds predicted.
Yeah.
God was getting ready to destroy the world, and then he saw Joss Whedon's Avengers. And was like,
He's like,
"You know
I will
what?
spare them.
You've earned a few more years.
I'm going to
You
see where
dodged
this
this
goes."
one. You know that?
I'm just really interested.
You know that comet in
Is that-
Armageddon?
Oh, I was going to
The
say
meteor? God just edged it over a little bit so we could survive. And Bruce Willis lived on.
It was that Captain America line. He caught God's
I gotta put it in the water.
No, I meant the
No!
one where he's like, "There's only one God, ma'am."
I'm sure he doesn't look like that.
Or
God
dress
was
like
like,
that. He doesn't
correct.
dress
Dress like that.
I
Our
spare
impressions
you.
of
I didn't
Captain
see-
America are highly different.
Exactly.
So anyways,
So yeah, I was coming out of high school and going into college when this movie came out. It was an exciting time for me. It was an eventful
New beginnings
time.
for baby Ian.
I can't come up. Man, I've been killing the puns the last couple episodes, but
Let's keep moving on. We don't need. We can skip that part.
Logan has not been happy.
not pleased.
So,
Yeah.
any of you all remember your first viewing experience? Was it
Yeah.
in theaters?
That was my first midnight showing.
Really?
Aw.
Yeah.
I think mine might have been Harry Potter, like the last Harry Potter movie.
Wow.
I know. I'm a little ashamed of that.
Oh no! Don't
Really?
be ashamed.
I mean, like I was happy at the time, but just that was my first midnight showing.
It isn't very impressive, but
That's
there's
what I'm
nothing to be
saying.
ashamed about for sure. I think I don't remember. I think I may have seen Captain America in theaters.
You didn't see Avengers?
No, I did. I did. I'm trying to think if it was my first. I don't think it was my first like Avengers movie that I saw, like Marvel movie that I saw in theaters. I think Captain America was my first, but
Show of hands for this radio podcast. Who saw it in theaters?
Avengers, right?
Nobody's raising their hands. Yes.
It's like,
Avengers.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It was
Everybody,
yeah.
Logan, you saw it.
Of course.
you were on
Yeah.
board.
yes,
Yes.
But you've talked to me before about some mixed emotions going into Avengers
Before we
compared
get-
to the love you have now.
Before we get to that, just to preface this was my favorite theater experience I've ever had in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Which is funny because of what you're about to say.
yeah, well, I'll get to that part. So, I actually got like a group of 20 of my friends together. I used to do a Friday night radio show program that would just do like a 2-hour block on Friday nights for a local radio show called Friday Night Inferno.
Also, I didn't know about this until our last episode when we were recording, and he mentioned it, and I was like, "What? You had a previous radio experience?"
Yeah, so
I wasn't your first.
Yeah, you can imagine my shame and embarrassment.
All right, moving on from that.
Alright.
So I got like 20 of my friends together, and I was grounded actually, and I wasn't allowed to go see the movie. But I still organized the entire event, and my parents like, you can't go. I don't remember why I couldn't go, but I was like still under the jurisdiction of my parents, so I ignored their phone calls for the whole night and
I'm
went
so
and saw
proud
the
of
movie
you.
with my friends.
That's great.
And we had an amazing time. And
how old were you?
it was the greatest decision, like the greatest time I've ever had disobeying my parents.
16.
Solid.
No, I was 2012. I was born in '96. Someone do the math because I suck.
I would have been. Well, I was 15, and we're the same age.
Okay, so I was 15.
Cheater. He's supposed to do it by himself.
I'm sorry.
Don't make me suffer like that.
Don't make
put me on the
suffer.
spot. I can't do math.
Don't
very
make
well.
me do the maths.
So yeah, but it was an amazing time. We were all that theater was the most hyped theater I've ever been in my entire life.
It was. I think the only other time I've had a similar theater experience was The Force Awakens.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, those two.
That was my
theaters.
second most lit music experience of all time.
just where the whole crowd
Lit.
was like on the edge of their seats. They were clapping, they were cheering, they were oohing, they were eyeing.
I got people dressing up for mine at the Avengers.
Yeah,
same.
seriously.
My
How many
friend-
Lokis were at?
No, I don't.
That's a
know.
whole lot of hot guys and Black Widows because those were the easiest ones
Oh
to
yeah,
do.
that's
Saw a lot of cap, just
I
like
had-
people in PJs with cap shields,
True.
like
True.
on the floor.
Solid.
Yeah,
I think I took a cap frisbee.
there you go.
I had like a little like.
I bought an
frisbee
Iron
that's
Man
Captain America
mask.
shield.
Brought
My
it to
friend
the
welded.
Yeah.
theater.
My
I think I
friend
did
welded
too.
I
his
did
own
that.
Iron Man mask and brought it to the theater.
That's
His
legit.
whole
That
suit,
is-
and he had to
that
take
is
it off
very
because it was
legit.
cutting him. By
Well,
the
yeah.
end of the movie, he had like a gash in his neck. It was pretty funny.
That's hardcore
Awesome.
commitment.
Yeah,
So that was my favorite theater experience of all time. But I walked out of there saying, that was all right. I liked Hunger Games better.
no, you didn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you
That
actually?
was my
Yes, you
legit
did.
walking out of the theater
Why?
response. Because I liked Hunger Games more at the time for some reason.
Huh?
Like I had a great Hunger Games experience.
First Hunger Games
Interesting.
movie is like very solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And they're-
solid and
yeah.
enjoying it. But like looking both of these films in retrospect, what was I thinking? I have no idea. Also, everyone was like, "That was the greatest movie of all time." But I was the kid who was like, "That was good. I
You were
enjoyed
just
that.
trying to be
That was
hipster."
good, dumb fun." But just wait till Dark Knight Rises comes out in July, and Christopher Nolan wipes the floor with this movie. And unfortunately, I was wrong. This movie is way superior to Dark Knight Rises.
It is.
But at the time, Nolan was batting 1,000.
Yeah.
He had done.
Yeah.
He had done
Batting
Batman Begins.
1,000.
Hey.
There we go.
Okay.
No, it was Batman
Carry on.
Begins, Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception, all in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no way Christopher Nolan wasn't going to absolutely
And it
slay
was
this
still
movie.
good.
Yeah, and I still enjoy Dark Knight
yeah.
Rises, but this movie is for me much more fun.
They're really
They're
different.
much better. They're much better time.
Yeah.
While I agree this film is more fun and they are very different,
Yeah.
I think Avengers is a better movie
Yeah.
as a whole.
Like,
Then
I'm a-
Hunger
I'm a
Games or
DC.
then Dark Knight Rises?
Both,
Yeah.
but specifically Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also Dark Knight Rises is the third in a series of movies, which
Yeah.
it's very difficult to keep the standards high if you've made that many.
And what movie are we going into?
Huh?
What movie are we building up to right now, Cassie?
Infinity War.
The
yeah.
third.
Third.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Just don't jinx
I'm
us.
not- okay,
I'm
sorry.
Don't let us look
There's a
back on
lot-
this episode
Knocking on wood.
and be like, Cassie
It
ruined the
was
whole thing for all of us.
Cassie.
It was.
For those of you wondering, no.
But I mean, I'm not worried about it flopping. I mean, yeah, looking at the trailers at the time.
Not necessarily not flopping, but
living
I'm afraid of it
living up to the
disappointing. There's a
previous
lot riding
ones.
into this movie.
Who's
Yeah.
directing
But I've
it?
said that about every single Marvel, big Marvel movie, and
Yeah.
I've yet to be disappointed. Besides Age of Ultron,
Yeah.
which was still good.
it's the Russo brothers.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh.
Captain
Okay.
Winter Soldier, Civil War.
I mean, there's already a lot of setup for it, and it's already been this whole franchise has been leading up to this movie, and then there's going to be more after it.
It's
I mean,
true, but
I'm
there's
sure
always a chance of whatever
Bombing.
what you love
Yeah.
disappointing you.
I mean,
Not with Marvel though. Marvel never disappoints.
Well,
us.
Iron
Age of
Man
Ultron. Age of
Thor
Ultron was
2.
kind of a
Age of
disappointment
Ultron,
for me.
I was very disappointed.
Yeah.
Although I enjoy that movie, and I
Because-
can't wait to get to that episode.
What's the
Yes.
guy's name who voiced Ultron?
James
Spader.
James
Spader.
Spader. James Spader.
He killed it in that role.
I don't like Ultron.
I liked Ultron.
I think Ultron's the weakest part of the movie,
No,
and I
his
think
voice.
we should.
I liked his voice.
The voice is cool, but it's
I think he could have had more to
just
his
an evil
character.
Tony Stark. We'll
So
save that for Age
anyways,
of
Alright.
Ultron.
the Avengers.
Yes,
We're not there yet. I'm
is
sorry.
Yeah.
before.
I think that they had a lot to live up to because they've been building up to this.
Yeah.
And
I was very doubtful
it
going
was
into this
pretty
movie.
unprecedented at this point. So I guess that maybe is an advantage where they didn't have all the expectations that say Infinity War has a ridiculous amount of expectation riding on it. But
17 movies.
so
worth of
many.
expectations.
So Avengers didn't have all of that, but I think it just is
still had a lot
it just
going
did
into it.
it just
Yeah.
did such a wonderful job. Well, it does such a wonderful job of culminating the universe to this point, because they've had all the setup, they've introduced all the characters, and then they bring them together in this movie, and they just do a really excellent job of like giving the characters moments and like making the plot compelling, and just also
great villain,
just having,
which is something that Marvel struggles with.
I honestly kind of forgot that the villain of this movie was Loki.
Really?
And he did a really good job too. There's nothing bad with him.
Well, I don't know. I think I kind of like, Loki is technically, like, air quotes, the villain, but like it feels more like he's being like I know he is making his own choices, but I sort of think of like the Chitauri and like Thanos is more of the villains, because you still see conflict in Loki, which, I mean, he's still a villain, but like I don't think of him as like necessarily like super bad.
Yeah, I focus more on the characters when I watch this movie, and on the Avengers than I do on Loki, or like
Loki's more just pulling the strings from a plot perspective.
Yeah, he's more there to like give them something to fight and to come together for. Whereas like, and then I think what Ultron was supposed to be was like this actual villain, but then we didn't get that delivered to us. So that makes me expectant for Thanos, for Infinity War, for the person who was pulling the strings.
Correct.
Hashtag also that puppet reference to Ultron. Yeah. Anybody so you had sort of a downer negative, not like super negative, but experience viewing it.
No, I had an amazing experience viewing it. I just didn't like it as much as I do now.
You were just
I was super impressed, but I was just more like, I liked Hunger Games more. Dark Knight Rises I'm super stoked for.
Yeah.
So I was more just split that way, but I love this movie. This movie's awesome. It's incredible.
Yeah, would you go back in time and like kick yourself?
I 100% want. I'm like, you're being an idiot.
Yeah.
A portal opens. You just kick little Logan
I use the
right in the
space
butt.
stone and be like, stop doing this.
Stop, please.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying watching it. And I didn't have the experience of the comics. I pretty much just had like Thor and Captain America. But then I watched this and I was just like super psyched. Like I just loved the characters primarily. That's what, like, the characters of the Marvel universe are what got me sold, because they're just so fun and so like compelling and so great to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like, but prior to this movie, while it didn't have the expectation that say like Infinity War has going into it, it definitely had its criticisms. People were worried about Disney taking over the franchise, and they were
that was a big concern at the time.
Yeah, and they just thought like, because it had never been done before, something like having all these separate individual movies and then a team movie at the
servicing
end,
them all,
like
giving them compelling reasons to be there.
Because all those movies are also different. They didn't have kind of like how sometimes now people get like there's complaints about like, oh, Marvel movies are kind of paint by numbers. They're just kind of like the same plot, the same bad guy, like, and I'm tired of watching them. And I don't think that's true. But I can understand where that feeling is.
There's definitely cliches that can come through in some of them, and complaints to be made. But recently, Marvel has done a great job of subverting our expectations.
Yeah. Whereas this first phase, each film is pretty isolated.
A lot of them have a unique style, but the greater MCU ends up taking on the style of Avengers and Iron Man to a certain degree until Guardians rolls around.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Any other comments about your guys' first experience? I think it had this weightiness to it, like just that it had never been done before. And people,
it was an event film.
Yeah, people came out to see it, to see what was going to happen.
This movie was huge. There's very few things that I've seen pop culture like rally around and go out and see and be a part of than Avengers. Avengers was massive. That whole year it was Avengers stuff everywhere.
Yeah, all over the place.
It's still the third highest grossing film of all time.
Really?
It was incredible.
It's right up there with Titanic.
Mm-hmm. And Avatar. Thank you, James Cameron.
Thank you, Joss Whedon. All right, well, let's dive into it. So we're gonna start just right at the beginning. Also, I forgot that like the very first thing we see is like the Chitauri and like this evil monologuing lackey. Does that guy have a name?
He does have a name. Give me a second.
But like, I forgot that was all in there. I thought we just immediately went into SHIELD base, like.
The Chitauri grow restless.
Yeah,
I forgot about the
I
shield
really
base.
like that opening.
I thought it was a bonus scene. I was like, was this in the original cut? Like,
Did you click the special features?
I'll say like this movie is kind of like a slow build in the beginning.
It
like
actually
more
has
so,
a lot of really slow moments.
More so than I remembered. But like they really like there's just a lot.
They're
There
taking
is
their
kind of
time.
like there's a lot of monologuing. There's a lot of like establishment and like a lot of talking about like, hey, you guys, remember what the Tesseract is? Well, this is what it does, and here's some sciencey stuff. But and like it sounds bad when I say it that way, but like I'm enjoying what's happening. But also like it is just kind of like. I think a lot of the superhero movies now are just kind of like boom, like they try and get you like right off, like if you think about like I think it's Winter Soldier, right? That starts out with Age of Ultron is what I'm thinking. Age of Ultron just starts out like with the team attacking the castle.
Yeah, in Sokovia.
Yeah. And it's just like right off the bat, they're just like boom, we're starting the movie. But like this one is very much like
it has a very interesting opening.
Yeah.
I
really
think
does.
it's like you could almost glaze over it, and I think you're right. There's a lot of kind of wordiness around it, and it actually is important because it's establishing the crux of the movie, the conflict, but
it sets up Loki, gives him danger.
The Chitauri, like you see a flash of the army
that Thanos is pulling the strings on Loki.
And if you didn't know about that, or if you forgot about it, you'd end up like coming to the end of the movie and having aliens come through a portal and be like, wait, so what? Where? Like, what? I thought Loki was
very important.
What's with the aliens? Like
that, and like Loki's FaceTiming scene is like another like
FaceTiming.
It's what he's doing. So the Thanos' lackey is called the Other, and that's who he's FaceTiming with.
Yeah. The Other. They were
spent
like,
a lot of work.
What's that guy's name?
Yeah.
He's the other bad guy in the movie.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
called The
He's
Other.
The Other.
It'll seem cool.
Cool. Yeah, but I really like that the opening on the shield base.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I like it too, but I think
It establishes Marie Hill's character really well.
And Hawkeye.
Hawkeye as
Hill.
well.
Yeah.
Man, I love Hawkeye so
And Nick
much.
Fury.
Me too.
We get to see some real action from Nick Fury that we haven't seen in the
He was
film
gonna
so
die
far.
in the beginning. Remember?
Yeah. He just takes a shot, like,
Yeah. Well, I think he had a bullet vest on.
yeah, but,
But
still.
I mean, he was about to die with everyone. Remember? They were saying he was to install that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. That was super cool.
I think it's just cool. Like, I always like it when we see villains deliver on their threats. I think that's really important for villains.
And that's something the Russo brothers have teased for Infinity War, that like within the first 10 minutes of the film, you're going to fear Thanos and he's going to deliver on everything we
I
promised.
don't like it.
Hashtag Pepper Potts is gonna die.
Absolutely not.
So many people are going to die. We'll see what happens.
Man.
But yeah, I really do love the slow burn opening. It's an interesting opening for such a huge like blockbuster film like this. But I love how it really establishes the world and like the weight of what's going on.
So I agree with you. I think it does, and I think it's important. But when I think back to my first viewing, I think I skimmed over or I glanced over that S.H.I.E.L.D. opening. And just like even that Chitauri thing, I think it's a little wordy and a little like it's even though it's kind of slow paced, it's quick dialogue and it's back and forth and if you're
It's
not
Whedon dialogue.
Yeah, if you're not really paying attention, you can kind of just be like, okay, there's a cube, there's a Loki, and there's agents in this base testing, and now they're running away. Okay, and now Tony Stark. Okay, Tony Stark.
Yay!
But you kind of
It
forget.
it doesn't give you the big guns outstart.
No, and what I mean is like, I think it's a little quick and just. It is important, and if you slow down and you watch it and you're like really paying attention and zeroed in, I just think on my first viewing and a lot of people's first viewings, this probably, while it covers all the bases, it's just like it's almost forgettable because you're not watching the movie.
It's not the most interesting part of the movie.
No, you're not watching the movie like thinking about, no, it all makes sense and it works because of this. You're just kind of like, yeah, we got what we needed, a reason for the Avengers to get together. And for them to fight for something that they believe in.
I think this whole movie, like watching it now, sort of in retrospect, it is sort of like you really kind of have to stay focused the whole time in order to be clear about like what the objectives are at any given moment.
Because and all the different character relationships.
Yeah,
because
and because it's kind of confusing because you're just like, okay, because like there's this whole thing with like Loki's doing something, but then also like Clint is doing something, and like they're separate things, and then like there's everything going on with Loki, and we're kind of like
coming together.
We're kind of dealing with like Loki, but then there's also like all of this stuff with the Tesseract that's kind of separate, and like I think that they work really hard to like make it clear like what the objective is. It's just like, okay, now we have to deal with Loki, but we still have to find like the Tesseract, and that's why we're doing all of this like sciencey stuff over here. But like, you know,
see how convoluted it sounds already.
It does, but I think like The Last Jedi, it does a lot.
That's true.
And I think
in the amount of time that it has in a very clear fashion, and unless you're paying attention and really focusing in on all the lines of dialogue, you're going to miss out on the whole of the film. Just like a Christopher Nolan film as well.
They do keep the continuity very well. Like, because I was watching it closely and I was like, okay, like you have to pay attention, but if you do, it all makes sense. And it's clear that they put effort into it.
And I think like even if you don't pay attention, the value of this film is that I say convoluted, maybe that's a little too strong, because I think it is simple enough and straightforward enough in the things that matter that you can take a whole family to this and everybody will enjoy it.
Well, and
they don't need to get all the little stuff in order to enjoy it either, because it's a rip-roaring good time and it's funny.
That's the thing, is like this movie is not about the Tesseract, and it's not about, you know, the Chitauri. Like the Chitauri are just a disposable army so that we can have the Battle of New York,
disposable.
Which is why like the strength of this movie is absolutely in its characters. I think that like that's why we come.
Yeah, we've seen a bajillion Marvel movies. Oh yeah, that theme is hands down the most memorable musical theme in the MCU so far. That, and I would argue Winter Soldier's theme as well.
I can't remember it.
Solid.
Oh, you can't? Just go to that score. It's awesome.
Yeah. My first time, it wasn't until the second time I saw this movie in theaters that walking out of the movie theater, I realized it. I totally just glanced over the fact that Hawkeye gets corrupted into being Loki's tool,
flying monkey.
So it wasn't until later when they're assaulting the SHIELD helicarrier that I was like, oh wait, why is Hawkeye fighting Black Widow? And then it's the scene where she's sitting with him in the bed and they're waking up, and then I was like, oh, he must have been possessed or whatever.
Were you not watching the film?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Were you not watching this movie?
I think that beginning is so quick.
Yeah.
That you,
because he's
Loki for a whole half of the movie.
Yeah, but it's quick stuff. It's short stuff, and he's minor. He doesn't have a ton of dialogue. And there's a lot to take in. And also, he wasn't a huge character prior to this movie. His establishing shot is Selvig going, oh, the Hawk, he's up in his nest. And then him sitting cross-armed, in a nest.
It's fun watching this movie in retrospect, knowing how, what his family life is like, and that he's a dad, and he has... Yeah. It makes it all, his actions really even more interesting in retrospect.
This whole movie is really interesting to watch in retrospect. With Clint and Tasha and Banner and how much this movie drives Tony to try to keep the Avengers together to protect the world, because he knows something is greater, like the Avengers coming. And then also
he needs to keep them together, and he wants to he creates Ultron out of fear of what he saw in the portal of this film.
And then also, I was thinking in the whole opening of the film, looking at this whole base, and it's extensive, and this is just one base, and thinking about this is what S.H.I.E.L.D. used to be compared to where S.H.I.E.L.D. is now, and just the contrast of it used to be just this huge force, and now it's just a little ragtag.
We just started watching the 3rd season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Cool.
Yeah.
Again.
What do you guys think about let's kind of move into the wrangling of the team. So we have these kind of different segments of introducing each character kind of one by one, and how they're getting kind of collected by S.H.I.E.L.D. to come to the helicarrier.
Catching up
for
with
this.
them as well.
Yeah, catching up a little bit. So we have Cap. I like how they make it realistic, because Thor's tie-in isn't here with all this kind of we got to go grab everybody for the team roundup. It's kind of, and even Iron Man is a little bit different, but we have Iron Man, we have Hulk, we have Captain America, and Black Widow, kind of with her interrogation scene.
Yeah, I would consider that just like important of a scene.
Which one is your guys' favorite?
Yo, let me tell you, the Hulk was my favorite.
Yeah,
that one's really good.
His character was really good too, because he was like, you see him in a remote village caring for people, right? But he's also like hiding from everyone and kind of himself. So it's kind of like a cool little like, I don't know, thing.
Yeah, I think it's like it's impressive for Ruffalo because he's like establishing this whole character as like a new actor cast in that role, and I think in that like 5 minutes of screen time, I felt like he delivered a better Banner performance than like Norton. Excuse me.
Excuse you,
Edward Norton did in the first movie, and that's in retrospect, having just watched
100%. I said the exact same thing to Ian while we were watching it.
Yeah,
it was
and it also starts establishing and building up the nature of Natasha and Bruce Banner's relationship. That's to come as it further evolves in the MCU.
It was good foreshadowing.
Yeah. Not so much foreshadowing, it's building the relationship as friends.
Could be foreshadowing.
Do you think it was planned?
Foreshadowing.
It might have been. I think if it was planned, it was pretty well hidden.
Yeah.
You know? But if it wasn't planned, they rolled with it pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I really like the Tony and Pepper Potts scene.
I do too.
Is that your favorite?
That's my favorite Tony and Pepper Potts scene in the MCU.
But is that your favorite of like this kind of these
the heroes coming together? Yeah, that's why it's the most fun.
I like Phil. It does a lot for Phil Coulson there.
Yeah.
And us feeling for him later in the movie.
And seeing how their relationship with Coulson has evolved since Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 1.
Yeah. I was just remembering, like, after I watched the Avengers, it was like, for me, the characters, it was like Hawkeye and Tony were like my top two. And everyone else was just like, Captain America, OMG. And I was like, I like Stark. Like, he was my dude. I just really, like, I loved his banter and just his attitude.
Tony Stank.
Yeah. I think it's, I don't think I would say that he's my, like, that highly ranked, like, as a character for me now.
After Civil War.
Yeah.
I still love him. But, like, I was just remembering, like, this movie had me, like, really sold on him. And I do really love that scene. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Because I was just thinking, like, I really love the Black Widow scene. And it's such a great scene for her character. It's, like, the first, like, actual Black Widow scene that we've ever gotten in the MCU.
The one where she's being interrogated, quote unquote. And she's like, that's a cool little action bit for her. And you're right, seeing her as Black Widow. Isn't there confirmed a Black Widow film now?
It's definitely like being written.
Yeah,
it's definitely in the works. Finally, no, but I love. For me, when I watch Iron Man 2, that seems like a very young Black Widow,
like fresh out of Russia.
Yeah.
Fresh out of Russia. She's got. For me, she's been in like S.H.I.E.L.D. for like a year. This is a much more confident, fully formed Natasha Romanoff, and you can tell that Whedon really cares about this scene, and about this character, and you can see it even more with all the backstory stuff he really does for her in Age of Ultron as well.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
I love that scene, and this movie starts really establishing Natasha as a fully formed character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that plays off in that Winter Soldier, like, coming out not long after this is like, we're just going to throw her in there as like the main supporting actor.
And she's fantastic in that film too, and that movie does a lot for her as well.
Yeah.
What was your favorite one, Ian?
I think I'm going to say probably with you, Caleb, the Banner scene. And I like the Natasha stuff too, but I think those kind of go together, because then she gets called to go grab Banner. Also, I love that little line, like,
Coulson's
you want to go grab the big guy? And then that's way later, man.
Coulson. No, not Coulson's been compromised. What's his face? What's Hawkeye's last name?
Oh,
Barton.
Barton's been compromised, and that just flips the switch for her.
But I meant like where he says like, I need you to go get the big guy, and
she meant
she's
Tony.
like, she's like, oh, Stark, I don't think he trusts me very far. He trusts me as far as he can throw me. And then he's like, no, the other big guy. Then she's like, says something in Russian, like "Oy vey" or whatever.
That's not
Russian, but yeah. But I love that. I love the interaction there, and not because of like their relationship in Age of Ultron, but I like how much it establishes Bruce Banner, and I just think it's such an interesting way. Like you were saying, we see him; he's living undercover, he's helping people, he's doing what Bruce Banner would do, and just kind of being a doctor and being a scientist and like trying to be helpful. And then you see like when he finds out he's been conned, he's like, okay, I've been on the run, I've been chased down, and now I know, like, he's kind of like, you see his own fear for the Hulk as well as like his fear for like what it could do to the people around him. But it also brings a confidence to him in that interaction where he won't be like bullied, because he's like, whatever you do to me, you're just gonna like unleash the beast. And then
he fears for other people, not himself.
Yeah. But so I really liked that. And then and man, none of us have mentioned Cap scene.
Caps is great too.
I like it too. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Especially coming straight out of First Avenger into this.
Yeah. What I really like the augmented from like what we would see in the teaser trailers or like in that final scene of First Avenger, that end credit scene. What I like is showing that scene in its entirety and showing as he's hitting the punching bag, the like flashbacks to him on the plane and him in World War II and fighting. And it
catches
like,
people up too.
Yeah. And it's him like processing like all of that and that trauma. And it brings us to like where he is at the start of this movie. Like
fresh off the ice.
Yeah. He just
freshly thawed.
For him, that was like last week, you know, and like he has to process all of that and now like do this. It's not till like we get to Winter Soldier that we realize like Cap's like starting to be like, okay, I live in this world now. Like, you know, because we see him catching up with like the whole like flying monkey scene where he's like, I got that reference, you know?
Yeah. Let's get into the helicarrier stuff.
Yeah. So the heroes are together now. I like that first bit at the beginning with Natasha, Steve, and Banner, where they stand on the helicarrier. That whole scene is pretty cool. Where the helicarrier.
My favorite moment in that scene is Natasha's like, I bet this is all pretty unfamiliar to you, and Steve's like, no, this is actually pretty familiar, and it just shows like the guys running across the helicarrier deck. I like that military moment for Cap.
Yeah. I like all this stuff once they get in. I really like it once Tony gets there.
Yeah.
The Galaga.
Yeah. No one thought that man we would notice.
But we did.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just really, I told you like while we were watching the movie, it's just really interesting to see them coming together as a team. And like, you know, like I think we all know that feeling like when we get to a new job or like we're starting a new project or like, you know, when you're doing like a show or something and like, you know that you're going to
this podcast
and you know that you're going to need to be like working with these people, but you don't know them. And so there's that kind of like
I guess that doesn't really apply. I know all you people.
Yeah. But there's there's that sense of like trying to like get to know people and like create that camaraderie and like, you know, because they're coming into this and they're like, well, we're going to like need to depend on each other and like trust each other with our lives. But like, we don't really know anything about you.
Yeah.
But
there's that kind of, hey, Dr. Banner, like.
Yeah. And like whenever.
Iron Man.
Especially Iron Man.
Cap.
Whenever when Iron Man came on the screen, he like stole the show.
Yeah.
The Stuttgart scene is awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Like even when Captain was fighting Loki, right? And then Black Sabbath comes on the PA or something.
Black Sabbath?
Was it Black Sabbath? Dude, I don't know. It was some rock song.
AC/DC.
Bro, get out of here.
Big freaking difference, dude.
Dude, there is a big freaking difference.
He is wearing
it's
a
almost
Black
11
Sabbath shirt the rest of the movie, though.
That is fair.
He was.
Shoot to Thrill, 1980, Back in Black.
Okay, thank you, Logan. Anyway, so no, even when he stole the show from that, and then like throughout the movie, he was still the center of attention. And then throughout the movie, like towards the end, everyone kind of blended together, and they were all of equal value, which was really cool to me because Iron Man is like the cocky center of attention guy, and he still was for the most part. But everyone else had a say in him.
What can we say?
I think you're totally right. Like he. Like his character to that point believes he's the center of the attention. He believes like S.H.I.E.L.D. came to him asking him for his help with the Avengers, and like he already believes he's the leader of this team and all this kind of stuff, and like and how he kind of butts heads with the other players like Cap and Thor a little bit. Yeah.
But then
actually literally they fight.
Yeah.
But then
But
I
it's
love
all in
how
good fun.
when we get to the end final scene, Tony takes a back seat and
Cap,
tells like, hey,
call it.
Cap.
Yeah. But then
That's awesome.
He does get his shining moment of heroism, which I think is development for him.
Yeah, well, it totally is because remember on the helicarrier, Steve calls him out and he's like, "Hey,
You're not the
you're
one
not
to
the one
make
to lay down and make the heroic sacrifice."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is a really interesting thing to watch throughout the movie, is this who's going to lead the team, because like we know like it's got to be Cap, like he's the first Avenger, blah blah blah, but like there really is sort of this conflict where like Tony maybe thinks like it should be him, and he's definitely more charismatic, whereas Steve is just kind of like trying to get a grip on life. But then it's really interesting to watch the movie and like see like Steve's leadership come through.
Yeah, the different gifts, the abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big thing in this movie is how you need everyone, and the importance of a team and what you can accomplish as a team, and how to work together and put aside your differences and work as a team. And
you see on the when it comes to the helicarrier like action sequence, you see them spinning their wheels there, and it seems like everything's literally falling out of the sky, but they're all kind of trying to do a different part. Well, like I said this to Logan while we were watching, I like that Iron Man isn't involved in any of the fighting.
I really like that
sequence. Too. He's doing what
he's using
Iron
his brain
Man usually does. Yeah, he's doing the tech stuff and using his suit to like solve things. Also, first opening shot of Iron Man, I like. We both commented how he's doing the
underwater
Iron Man like welding thing.
I love that. It's really cool and really different. And we get to see Iron Man the first time we see him in a place where we don't usually see Iron Man.
Yeah,
like.
So we saw him in water and space.
Unless he's welding.
Yeah, water, space.
Both of them in this movie. Yeah. Interesting.
Though I don't think that suit is like supposed to be in space.
Oh no,
because it did shut down.
It did shut down.
But I think we're gonna get some space.
Hashtag bleeding edge armor.
Also, the Entertainment Weekly cover.
Yep,
that armor.
He's got that spacesuit though.
Definitely
sleek.
We didn't bring it up, and we don't need to talk about it a lot. But do you guys like the Thor's intro scene? Like where there's a little bit of a fight between him and Iron Man, and Cap shows up. Do we care about that?
I love that. It's awesome.
Valuable?
It's so much fun, and it's a great way
of
catching up Thor and Loki.
Oh, for sure.
And their drama and their story on the cliff.
I like that a lot.
And it kind of showcased Captain's bravery too, and importance to the team, because he like stood up to Thor to like a full blow, and he like deflected it. So he's actually like important compared to all these people. Right?
I really just like it as a fight sequence.
Oh,
and honestly,
so
I'll just say like across the board, pretty much there is not a fight sequence in this movie that I don't like. I like all of them. I think that they're all unique, but all just so great to watch. Just really, really well done. And I like that fight sequence with Iron Man and Thor, and then eventually like Cap. It's just like fun to watch.
Yeah, you see them using their powers and throwing each other against trees and breaking through stuff.
Yeah.
And
like that fight, I like the fight with Nat at the beginning where she's being like interrogated, and then like the fight with Thor and Hulk, and the fight with
Thor and
Natasha and Clint, and then the whole fight, like the Battle of New York at the end, I think is just so cool. Like I just think that's one of the things that this movie does incredibly well.
Yeah,
action scenes are incredible. I remember one of my reactions was walking out of the theater for the first time was, I haven't seen like good spectacle on that level since Return of the King. Yeah, that was my reaction.
Boom.
That was that was Lord of the Rings, like level spectacle.
I think you're right.
Done well.
Because even like none of the Nolan films with. I'm trying to think of other films that can't. Man, X-Men.
I think it's since Return of the King.
You can compare it to X-Men.
I was trying to think of films that had a similar level of like it's all out.
They were trying to
spectacle.
Like X-Men's one of my favorite series, but maybe not the third one. So
exactly.
Compare it.
They tried.
Yeah,
there's some cool Wolverine shots.
Yeah. Beat
hair. Nothing like Avengers.
Nothing like Avengers. Yeah.
So then we get from the helicarrier. What's next?
Well, just to touch on the Stuttgart scene real quick, I love the Loki's monologue about subjugation and how we all crave subjugation, and then having the German World War II vet stand up to him and be like, "There are always men like you."
Yeah,
and then having Cap show up right up then to save him.
Yep.
It's super cool, and
it's
I love how it plays on history, German history, and Cap's involvement with that.
Even after that, he said,
so cool.
Last time I was in Germany, last time a guy tried to stand up, it didn't go so well for him or something like that.
Yeah, he tried to put himself over others.
Something like that.
We end up disagreeing.
Yeah.
I think it's really poignant, that he steps in and like literally shields and saves that
It's
guy.
awesome. It's super cool.
Yeah.
That's honestly one of my favorite movies.
And then Tony shows up.
And then Tony shows up with AC/DC.
I like the little action there that Cap also like.
He gets some good stuff in there.
Both of the Asgardians, like he doesn't care. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna take this guy on by myself, and I'm just gonna like throw myself out there because he's Cap. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And like even he gets hit, and he's like, you know, up to this point, the person who's hit Cap harder than anything is Red Skull. Right,
Yeah.
and who he knows is another super soldier, so he goes up against this guy Loki.
It's just like him, like a guy of equal power and strength, which just evens it out, and makes it normal.
But you see, like this moment where Loki like hits him in the face, and he like goes down to the ground, and you can kind of see like he's like, "Oh,
I didn't expect this."
Yeah, and later on, he tells Tony, he's like, "These guys can pack a punch. Like you should be careful."
It's also cool seeing Thor and Iron Man fight in the woods a little bit. Because it's a little like pre-Civil War action, hero versus hero action, but it's also cool because Thor is not in Civil War, so you kind of you get like a little glimpse of what it would be like to see Thor in Civil War during that scene.
I'll say my kind of like negative when I first saw this movie. I liked Thor and Loki meeting. I liked that tie-in from the Thor movie, getting that like, hey, we thought you were dead, we haven't seen you, now I see you, and you're trying to take over the world, like. Bro, get your crap together. Let's just go home. I liked all that. What I didn't like the fight though. I thought it was. I mean, I liked the action.
Thor versus Iron Man.
Yeah.
What?
So I liked
so
the
much
action.
Fun.
It is exactly. It's fun. It's action packed, but that's what I thought it was. I thought it was fan service, and I was like,
it is a little fan servicey. But remember whenever you read like a comic book crossover, it's like 6 or 8 issues, and you just bring everyone together, and it's kind of punchy in a good time.
Yeah, and I know
it's got that feel.
There's always a little bit of like a new hero's on the scene. And we gotta fight them
Let's
because we don't know who they are. Like
hashtag
like
Justice
Smash
League
Bros thing.
Yeah, just like every time they're just like, wait, who are you? I don't know, but I've got powers. Yeah. And then they're like, who are you?
No.
Oh, let's fight. And then it's
that's
like,
the cool
wait
part
a second,
of it.
We're on the same team. Okay,
and that's why I like that scene because it's
BBS.
Reminiscent of that.
Yeah.
And it's all great. But at the time when I was watching it in the theaters, I was like, Tony, like, don't be an idiot. Like,
stop.
Yeah, like,
I'm sorry.
Just stop.
Tony
It's what Cap
Stark
does.
not be an idiot.
That's what he did.
Yeah. And
egos
that's
at
why
play
when Cap came in on the scene, I was like, yes, thank you.
Well,
like,
I think that was
are we done
supposed to be
here?
there.
Yeah.
I think that, like, as the Captain America and Iron Man are 2 different people, so they would have handled that situation differently. So I think that's why he came in.
The action was 100% character driven. It allowed us to see the flaws and faults of Captain America, of Thor and Iron Man, and their egos at play here.
Yeah.
And then Cap stepping in to lead them to be better because he is the better individual.
So there was a reason for that scene.
It's character driven.
And looking back, I can see that. Like, I agree with both of you guys, and like I see that now, and I've
I
seen
see
it
where
since,
you
but
were back then.
At
like,
that time,
100%.
I was like, "What is this for?" Like,
Stop.
Hey man, we all mess up. I thought
I was like,
Hunger
we know
Games
they're
is better than
gonna, we
this
know they're
movie.
gonna be on the same team. We don't need to see them fight.
Yeah.
Like, we saw the trailers.
Yeah.
So a helicarrier though, more fighting amongst heroes. And
Super fun.
I love Hulk's transformation on the helicarrier.
Oh, it's so good. And I love the
buy it.
whole Thor and Hulk fight as well.
Yeah. I like Natasha seeming just like terrified and like shell shocked.
She did a really good job acting like, well, she was scared, but like,
acting to
Acting nothing.
Doing her job.
yeah, I guess. She did really good, though. It was really believable. Because I didn't think she could
I
be
believed
scared.
her fear in those moments.
No,
with
I mean,
Bruce.
I did. Like, she was really believable in those moments. Like,
100%.
I didn't think she could be scared easily. But obviously
like
that
Black
scared her.
Widow.
Well, and that's what she says later. Like, she says to Barton, she's like, this isn't what we were trained for. This is gods and magic. And it is
Monsters.
like, it's really interesting to like see, especially those 2 characters step up and be like, you know, this isn't what we're used to, but like, we've got arrows.
This
and
isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah.
Every war movie ever.
It never is. But yeah, just to see them like step up and do like what they can do and like stand up with like Captain America, who's a super soldier, and Tony, who has a suit, and like Thor, who's a god, and just like
A god.
And Tony, who has a suit.
Like, Black Widow is the one who shut down the portal. She figured out the way. Yeah,
Totally.
And in the end, in that final shot where they're like all standing up against Loki, she's holding the scepter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's super cool.
Oh, is she? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I just saw or Hawkeye's
She's gonna
bow
keep
in my
that.
face.
He's like front and center.
Yeah.
Also, I just just in
Redneck
case I don't get it
Avengers.
in later, I'm just gonna give a little shout out to Hawkeye because I think he's a great character and he's great to watch. And he has so many great moments in this movie.
100%. If you love Hawkeye, here's a little comic book recommendation for you. Go check out Matt Fraction's run on Hawkeye. It's like 15 to 20 issues.
Yes.
It's so good and so entertaining and so much fun. I would highly recommend go checking that out.
Yeah. I would love
If you
to
want
see
more Hawkeye.
What's her name? Isn't it a Jessica? His the new Hawkeye. What's her name? His
I don't
apprentice?
remember her name. She's in Kate Bishop.
Not even close. I would love to see like a Kate Bishop in like Marvel Netflix.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah. But anyways, what do you guys think about like not the conference room, but it's like the laboratory scene? They're like arguing and stuff.
So much fun.
I have a question. Okay.
Yeah.
So they kept focusing when they were arguing. They were all bickering towards each other, and then like all the audio kind of mashed up over everyone, right? And then the camera really focused on the scepter, and then it turns it upside down.
Yeah.
Is that like affecting everyone in the room? Is
I
that
think
like
so.
Loki's thing?
I think it is. It's the what's the stone again? Ian?
I believe that's the Mind Stone because
Yeah,
that's
it's the
the one
Mind
that
Stone.
goes into.
That's kind of
Vision's
what
head.
it does. It just
So how
kind
come
of
it opened a portal?
No,
it didn't
open the portal.
The Tesseract
didn't.
opened the portal because that's the space.
Okay,
stone.
they're both blue. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, but remember in Age of Ultron when they crack open the
and
Mind
it's the
Stone?
Infinity-
It's the yellow Infinity Stone.
So yeah, so it was affecting people in the room. Then
That's how I read that scene.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like when like Bruce goes and like picks up the scepter,
Yeah.
it's like it's not a conscious like thing for him. I think it's literally just like it's like almost like the Ring of Power.
Yeah.
That's what he
Kinda
reminded
taking
me of.
control. He grabs it unconsciously, and everybody's like, put it like that's why when
Like-
Cap's like put it down, he's like, what?
Whoa.
Like
Yeah, but whenever a film does that, like really focuses on something, or in any film, like whatever's in frame, like the director wants my voice cut out there for a second. The whatever's in frame, like the director wants you to see that,
Yeah.
right? Everything's on purpose, and so, but that was like a long,
Yeah.
5-10 second shot, and then it like flipped over and rotated.
it's very like taking it back to the Ring of Power, that scene in the Fellowship of the Ring, the Council of Elrond, where they all stand up and they all start arguing with each other.
Yeah.
And you like
Yeah.
same thing.
And it
Camera
focuses
actually
on it.
focuses on the ring, and you see them bickering in the reflection of
Yeah.
the metal. Like a very similar shot.
Very similar,
like,
sure.
yeah.
Lord of the Rings was brought up twice in this podcast so far.
I love it.
It's a team movie.
Yeah.
Has spectacle.
That's
I
true.
see the,
They're
I
basically
see the
the
apt
same.
comparison.
Basically,
Yes, one of them.
Avengers equals
Earth, Middle Earth, same
it's just
thing.
a retelling of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you got Legolas and Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, the Legolas reference. I like
Tie-in.
cheered in the theater
Yeah.
when he said like
When he said
mount up
pucker up.
Legolas,
I don't know what he said.
something like that,
Clench,
and then
better clench up.
Clench
Yeah.
up,
Better
Legolas,
clench up.
something like
Better
that.
clench up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
so
Yeah.
good.
But I like that whole like the arguing, and we see the conflicting elements. We see the different characteristics of the people like finally coming together after this whole time where we've been like waiting on all these. Like in the different movies, we've been seeing all these characters separate, and now we get them together, and we see it's like it's not just perfect, it's not just easy, and I like that it's realistic in that sense. That we get Thor being like, you humans are so petty and tiny.
I was thinking about it watching this movie. Like, I think honestly, Thor just sees this as like a vacation. Like
Yeah.
he's just like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
swing by, pick up my bro. It'll
He's
be
here
a
to
good time.
grab
I'll
Loki.
see Earth. Like it'll be great. And like he's like, while I'm here, I might as well help them like resolve their like earth shattering issues.
Yeah.
Why
They're
not?
bickering like Bilge Snipe.
Although he does tell Loki, he says the Earth is under my protection
He does. Yeah.
because of Jane.
But Thor ain't doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Thor, that one scene on the helicopter
Helicarrier.
helicarrier. Sorry, it's almost midnight.
You good?
I'm good. When Hulk picked it up, I tried to, and his feet dug into the
hammer.
So great.
That was sick.
Oh,
that
you're
was
talking
the
about the
first,
hammer?
Yeah, the
That's
hammer
Mjolnir.
scene. Huh?
That's Mjolnir.
But he was talking
Mjolnir.
about the
Yeah.
helicarrier.
Oh, okay.
Mew mew.
He's not mistaking the helicarrier for Thor's
I was like,
hammer.
that's a very different thing.
I would kick myself out of this room if I did that.
You're good.
I also love how much Nick Fury we get.
Oh yes,
in this
he's so
movie.
good.
He
Is the sun coming up?
then put it on the left.
He has such a unique form of leadership because he's because I think at his core, like he's not like he doesn't belong like in a conference room or anything. Like,
no, he's a man of action.
He's a man of action, and he, but I think he's the, he runs S.H.I.E.L.D. And
especially with the trading card thing at the end.
Yeah,
that was.
He's a very like mixed bag as a character. Like he has a lot of like a good side and a bad side for sure.
A lot of nuances.
Yes.
To that character.
I actually don't know what happened to his eye.
I think we're gonna get that in the Captain Marvel movie that's gonna come out in 2019.
Do we not know?
I don't know the exact release date for it.
So we don't know. Like, there's no comic that like says anything about it.
I think there have been comics. I haven't read them.
So like we don't
I would
know?
guess that they're out there. I know I've read a comic where Nick Fury has both eyes. So, but it's like old. It's
I thought I was just being dumb and just didn't really know the reason for it.
They just don't tell you.
Really?
It's not important.
Interesting. Well, I'm curious.
In Winter Soldier, they have a cool moment with it, though.
You gotta keep both eyes open.
Yeah. That was
Speaking of the cards, though, that you mentioned, let's move on to Coulson's death.
So good. Son of Cole met his end.
Yeah. So that's what that does.
That's such a great line.
Joss Whedon be like, all the fans love this character. Let's kill him.
And it's easily like Clark Gregg's like best performance in the MCU.
It really is.
Yeah. Speaking of like villains delivering on their threats, that's why like Loki at the beginning, he comes in and he's just killing guys left and right. He has Hawkeye. He like as soon as he turns Hawkeye just shoots Nick Fury, and then we have this moment where he straight up kills Coulson and doesn't bat an eye at it. You know, like, what do you think? I think it's a revolutionary thing that we had this minor character who's really mostly a plot device. He's
motivating.
He's a device of exposition in the other movies. And or trying to like kind of interconnect them.
Yeah, he's a product of universe building a lot of times.
But like seeing the characterization of a character who has less than 5 minutes of screen time in all these other films come to be somebody who is like such a motivating factor in this movie.
Well, and it's because of the fans, because the fans saw him in the other movies and were like, we love this guy.
Yeah.
And like if you listen in interviews like Whedon and everybody is like, everyone was really surprised that the fans latched on to Coulson so much because like he was just a plot device, but like for some reason, like the fans just
it's Clark Gregg.
Clark Gregg is so charming and so much fun.
And fans are so weird.
Did we only get him in 3 movies? The 2 Iron Mans and Thor?
Iron Man, Thor, yeah. Just those 3.
But it was just it was like the love of the fans that like that it made him important.
And I remember when he died in theaters, it was a big moment.
Yeah.
And there were people like, "Not Coulson!" Like, it was like a big deal. And it 100% hit home and did the job it was supposed to do.
Well, that's good. My theater was quiet, which is super weird because everyone was dressed up. Except for the beginning and end.
No, I meant like I think my theater was quiet too, but it was more like a shock moment. Yeah, it was like that kind of quiet.
Yeah, people
telling you, man,
upset.
Newport, Oregon, on a Friday night got lit.
Yeah,
that weekend. It was a great time
because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah,
it's true, and we all had a blast.
Back to the Nick Fury question. I looked it up, and I guess it's just the grenade damage thing that he got in World War II when he was fighting.
It's just a grenade.
Yeah,
that's
but
like
it never got treated,
right?
so it kind of got aggravated, and then over time he lost like 95% of vision in his eye. If this is right, please don't quote me and kill me if this is wrong. But
anyways,
I guess
that sounds totally legit.
Why not?
What do you guys think about like Coulson getting brought back to life? Does that invalidate this?
I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's fun. I've
also
watched...
spoiler alert. If anybody doesn't know, if you've been only watching the movies and you're like, yeah, sure, great, Coulson's dead, and the movies are moving on. So there's a show called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a tie-in, and in the first episode, it's revealed that Coulson is alive.
I'll say it doesn't feel cheap because it's made clear in the show that it was through great effort and pain on the part of scientists that Coulson was brought back. So it's not like a simple thing.
And it took time.
Yeah.
There were paramedics.
I'm also glad he's still dead in the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there were paramedics that came to him right after Nick Fury backed away. Yeah. And his body's off camera, and then paramedics came to him off camera. That's the last you saw, was him being treated.
No, but then Nick says like the paramedics are here. They called it. Like he's dead.
And in the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they actually do confirm that he was dead.
He died.
Really?
And it's not like a one episode thing. It's actually a whole story arc over multiple episodes.
It's a big reveal.
It's a whole thing over season 1.
Interesting.
But let's keep moving on. So we're out of the helicarrier. Anything else on the helicarrier that we want to talk about?
There's so many quote-worthy lines.
Yeah.
Through all that stuff, and there's so many memes and gifs
on the suit.
born
no
out
hard
of,
feelings. Point Break.
Born out of those scenes, and it's a testament
I understood
to
that
those,
reference.
It's a testament to the quality of the writing that we have so many of those iconic.
When did you
memorable
become an
moments.
expert in thermonuclear?
Last night.
Last night,
I love Tony.
Thermonuclear astrophysics.
That became the anthem of every student cramming before tests the night before.
Did no one do the reading?
I love the Tony and Banner kind of getting to know each other, playing around in the lab like two students.
Blueberries.
So fun.
Yeah.
So cute. Heart that.
And I like that Cap. I like Cap and Tony butting heads and just seeing like going from there though to them being the people who like during the helicarrier fight, they're working together.
Yeah.
And like I think it shows them having like an appreciation in that scene where they're in so everybody's kind of split up, but they're in the big prison, the cell scene, the cage room or whatever.
Loki's cage?
Yeah, Loki's cage room. And they're talking about Coulson's death. And it's like the two of them kind of hashing. I think there's like a new respect there, and they're kind of hashing it out. And they're the ones who realize where it's all building to, and who kind of take the initiative to be like, it's time for us to go. We're going to do this.
Yeah. But then we also see some fundamental differences between the characters where Cap says, "Is this the first time you've lost a soldier?" And Tony's like, "We are not soldiers.
Yeah, we're not soldiers."
I love that moment. That moment's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's just good though to see these two people who in the comics are the original founding members of the Avengers, and to see how they kind of do become the team leaders in one sense or another. And it all builds towards Civil War and hopefully Infinity War. I'm excited.
Cool. Let's get into the Battle of New York, and then let's wrap it up.
New York. I don't know what that was.
Okay.
I immediately regret it. We can cut that, right?
I'm leaving.
Can we?
I'm leaving
Yes.
it.
Raise your hand if we can keep it. I'm raising my hand.
There's so many great action
He's not
scenes.
raising his hand.
It's incredible.
I know.
In this
That
battle.
whole long shot where it goes from
The continuous
person to
shot.
person
Yeah,
to
from person to
person.
person. That's my
Yeah.
favorite part
So
of the whole
great.
battle.
Don't you
was
wish that was
sick.
actually one continuous camera shot?
It's- wait,
that
it's
wasn't
not?
just
It-
the
There
minutes
weren't
of editing.
Ian,
actual
stop.
aliens
It is.
attacking New
Yeah.
York.
What?
No, Ian. Of
Like a
course
flying
it's not.
camera shot?
No.
Shut up, Caleb.
Sorry.
I wish.
100%. Hulk shined.
There's just Hulk for me is definitely the standout of the Battle of New York.
I liked him a lot more in this watching. The first watching of Avengers, and honestly, until recently, I just didn't care that much about Hulk.
Really? Because that was the exact opposite reaction of everyone in pop culture. Coming out of that movie, I remember everyone being like, "We loved Hulk in this movie. We want more Hulk."
Because we didn't
And it
care
was
about
so
him
much fun.
before.
Yeah.
My friends
that was
were,
the big thing.
Maybe it's because and this is such a cliche, but maybe it's because most of my friends were young women. They weren't really about the banner. They were more. It was all about Tony or Cap.
So I actually, kind of want to get that perspective. I was talking about this with Thor when it first came on, and then I thought not to stereotype because I think
the day feminism died.
Well, you were just telling me you showed me a meme the other day where you're like reasons why. No, you showed me it this morning. Reasons why women like Marvel movies.
It's a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
It's a circle. And it's because they're intelligent human beings who also like comic books.
the whole thing. That's the only reason women like Marvel movies. Which it's not, but I understand it. So what do you think, when you really got into Marvel, why'd you get into it?
Like I said earlier, I think it was because of the characters. It was because of the characters.
It wasn't because of Chris Hemsworth's abs, you mean?
You don't see his abs in this movie.
Oh.
You see them in Captain America.
I imagine them.
And I'll,
I imagine them
every night.
Every night. Not even in the movies.
No. And I mean, I'm sure that had something to do with it. And I was 13.
You see Hulk's abs.
I'm not infallible.
Throughout the movie.
But I think it's just, and it was Joss Whedon's writing, probably, honestly, that like got me sold, because it's so great. And like, you know,
so quickly
Avengers is so quotable. And people did
that
like
fight scene
like my friends
so
and I,
quotable.
like we would quote it all the time. And I think just watching these characters and falling in love with them, and you know, just loving the story and the moments and the quips. It was a combination of all of those things, but primarily just the characters. Like I was like, I'm committed to these characters, and I want to see where they're going to go next.
The callbacks were really cool too. You saw a lot of like 10 minutes ago. There was a dialogue scene that happened just now, like what that $10 thing with Nick Fury and Cap. Those moments happened throughout the movie, and that kind of kept it interesting. That was cool.
I like all the payoff in that big action scene at the end. We get payoff for a lot of like the character moments between two people, like Thor and Hulk at the end of that.
Totally
one
teaming
shot,
up together,
teaming up to take on this thing, and then Hulk like punching Thor, just like
so great,
getting the last word in on that fight. But
Cap leading the policeman is another like highlight for me.
Incredible moment.
So cool. I love it.
I like him throwing Natasha up onto one of the little like air speeders.
That's probably my least favorite part of it. That's
really?
why I'm like, when she does like the jump up and grabs it, and then she's like riding on top of that. That's the part that gets me. I'm like, it's a little too comic booky for me, and I'm suspending my disbelief a little bit.
Not realistic.
That's
her arm would have been ripped clean off.
That's the part where it's a step too far in my suspending disbelief.
Okay,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay
with it too. But it's like, if I was to pick out a moment, it's always been that moment for me.
I think more things like, while I love it, the shot where like in that continuous shot, Iron Man flies down to a bridge where Cap is fighting, and then without any prior communication shoots his beam,
and it reflects.
His like repulsor beams that Cap shield and reflects.
This'll work.
Like,
shot straight from Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, like what if?
Remember, just like we practiced in drills.
Like, what if he forgot and just like swung somewhere else? He would have been dead.
Cap's dead.
Yeah,
when I land on this bridge, I'm gonna shoot my hands at you. You're gonna hold your shield, and you're gonna turn it so it arcs at all the bad guys.
That's one of my favorite moments in this
so cool.
It's so cool.
It's dope.
So fan servicing, and I love it.
Yeah,
we don't care.
So I think
so
like
much.
the whole action sequence, it just the choreography of it and just like the direction of it, it's like the screenplay for that. I can't imagine the storyboarding of that whole fight.
Shoot. Yeah.
But it's just incredible from the time that Tony first gets to his tower and kind of has this dialogue with Loki.
Which is super great.
The time he jumps up. I love the moment when he like looks up at the portal and in his helmet, like the HUD, the heads up display, like switches from like regular Iron Man to like battle Iron Man.
Yeah.
And he's like,
so cool.
oh yeah, army. And he's like,
okay.
And then like how it kind of develops and it like escalates from there. And we see them kind of spinning their wheels, trying to figure out, they're all just kind of doing their own thing. Like Cap and Hawkeye and Widow are on the ground fighting. But then there's a moment where they all come together. I think that's when Hulk shows up.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like Iron Man's like, Cap, you call the shots. And everybody gets an assignment. And then they're just kicking butt and taking names like the rest of the movie.
I think one of the things that makes this a standout among like superhero comic book movies is actually like, it's in like a Pinterest meme. And it's like Superman. He's just like, wow, it took, how many of them are there? Like 5? 6?
Wow. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He's just like, wow, it took 6 of you to defeat an alien army. And then there's like, no, actually it only took like one of us to defeat the alien army, while the rest of us defended the city and protected civilians, saving like hundreds of lives. To Superman, who is constantly destroying public property. And I just think
failing to take out one alien.
You know, it's rough.
Without
but
killing
like
them.
I think amongst like amid the rompiness and like the good dumb fun, it does feel like, you know, like
there's stakes.
There are stakes, and they're like
totally.
They're realistic
It's
about
awesome.
the fact that like this is a city. There are people here. Like we can't just like, you know, kick butt. Like we also like we need to save these people, and like they keep a realism about it that I think it gets you invested.
100%.
You know what's so funny is like we're talking about this and that it's like that there are real consequences, and you can tell because they're always talking about like we need to close that portal. We need to close. Like almost every time there's dialogue, they're like, "Is somebody closing that portal?" Like we need to do that because these guys keep coming. But like what we're talking about, how we do like just watching them kick butt, is because that's literally a line that Tony says when they're arguing about like Sokovia in Civil Wars. He says like, we were just kicking butt, like, and in the meantime people were dying and we were just being cool, like, and it's like, well, no,
Sokovia, they're more outgunned.
Yeah.
And the stakes are higher.
Outmanned, outnumbered, outplanned. Sorry.
Cassie is a huge Hamilton fan.
Never not.
Yeah, that one went right over my head. Are we ready to kind of wrap this up and talk about our ranking?
Any final thoughts?
The first time I watched this movie, I missed shawarma.
I didn't know what that was.
Because I didn't.
I didn't even know what it was before I watched the movie.
That end credit
Did anybody else walk out before the after credit scene?
I actually stayed and I had no idea that there was an end credit scene. Yeah.
I was really upset.
Yeah.
My friend
I didn't
texted
see it
me.
the first time. I didn't know.
No.
I didn't stay.
When he was like almost dead on the ground and he said, "Let's get shawarma," I'm like, I don't know what is that a joke? And I turned to my dad. He's like, "Shut up." Watch the movie. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
I missed the after credit scene the first time I watched it.
This was shawarma's biggest moment in pop culture.
Yeah.
By far.
I'm sure all the shawarma shop
owners
were like,
in pop
oh my gosh. Open the doors. My business.
Come in, people. One of my favorite like T-shirts that I saw post Avengers was like the Avengers logo and like just the Avengers like T-shirt like logo and stuff, but it was just shawarma in the Avengers lettering.
Solid.
It was awesome. I love that T-shirt.
I'll say as a final thing for me on this movie, I like the stuff with like the council for like who kind of like I guess direct
the World Security Council.
Shield, yeah, whatever.
Dun dun dun.
I just like all the different dialogue and how the kind of theme of who's responsible for like bring and like that strength invites contest and like
it's all setting up. Infinity War, but it's also showing how aggressive some of the members of the World Security Council are because they're Hydra.
Yeah, I think it's set up everything. It set up Winter Soldier, Civil War.
This movie does a great
War.
job of setting up Kevin Feige's grand plan for the rest of the universe.
Yeah, it brings up all these questions of like who's responsible, who's to blame. What are we inviting power because we have power or because we're tampering with it, or was it going to come anyways? And all these questions, and I'm looking forward to the payoff come April.
For sure.
Because it's been a great
April
trip.
27th, you guys. April 27th.
27th.
I would say Avengers it stands up even like now with so many movies.
100%.
After this, it ages well. I still
It
enjoy
does age
it.
well. Do you guys have any notion of a ranking in our list of MCU films?
It was great.
Solid. Definitely top 5.
Did you
for
put it
sure. For
above
sure,
Ultron?
top 5.
For sure. Do you like Age of Ultron a lot?
I would put it above Age of Ultron.
Okay.
I do like Age of Ultron though. Like I like all the stuff in the beginning. I really like Pietro and Wanda. I think that's what makes me question is because I really like them. I think they're really great characters. I love all the stuff we get with Barton. But
I also like Age of Ultron. And anyways, we'll talk about that when we get there. For me, Avengers is number 3 right now.
Same. Nice. Avengers for me is number 3 as well.
I'm looking at my list. The only things that are above it are Winter Soldier and Civil War.
Yeah,
same with Winter Soldier being number
right.
1 and Civil War being second, and those are flip flop for Ian.
Yeah, the only thing that's like right beneath it is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And though it wasn't that long ago that I saw it, I'm curious if that would switch upon our.
I'm excited to see how that switches up too.
I think I'm going to keep it where it is for now, just because. The event factor of this film,
it's incredible. I put it at number 3 as well. So you got Winter Soldier number 1, Civil War number 2, The Avengers at number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy at number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at number 5, and Captain America: The First Avenger at number 6. But when I was watching this film,
you leaned over to me.
I leaned over to Ian. And I was like, I kind of want to put First Avenger over Avengers.
Really? Tell me why. Tell us why. Tell the world why.
I think Avengers is a better movie. I think it's way more put together. It's much more efficient. It's
better
a better
villain.
film.
Yes.
But for me, I do love the emotional moments and Captain America: The First Avenger so much, and I do love a lot of what Cap stands for and his journey in that film.
And so I think also with a lot of MCU,
the ending, I love it.
Like, there's a question of, so like Civil War is up there for me in a list of MCU films, but Civil War, like all of its strength comes from what it's built on. And like I think the same is said for Avengers. I think you could watch this movie out of context by itself and still have a fun ride. And I think that's due to like,
I think that's
writing.
100% the case, because that's what most of the world did when it came out.
But it also is built on this great cast of characters that was developing over time. Do you think that like taken out of so that's what I'm saying is Captain America: The First Avenger, it I think easily stands alone. It doesn't need other movies to like to make it
doesn't
succeed.
But that's not why I want to put it so close to Avengers. It's just because I love the story. I love Steve as a character, and I love what that film does for him.
I love Steve.
And all the Dr. Erskine stuff, Peggy, and just Steve's journey in that film is incredibly emotional, and I love it so much. And I like Avengers for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun, but there's just a lot of like the raw emotion and heart of Captain America: First Avenger that I love.
Yeah.
But I still would put it beneath both Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because I love those movies, have the heart and the emotion alongside all the fun.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. That's why Guardians 2 is up there for me.
Yeah.
So you're going to put it above Avengers?
No, I'm not going to.
Oh, you're not.
Because Avengers, I think, is a better film, and I have more fun watching it.
What do you guys think?
I think I said in the first podcast that maybe Winter Soldier might edge out Civil War, but I upon revisiting, I think that's not the case. I think that Civil War would be my number one, followed by Winter Soldier. I think this would be
third.
I think this would be third for me as well. Cool. I don't I mean, and also like I haven't seen Civil War or Winter Soldier in a minute, so but yeah, that would be my thoughts right now. And then I think I would put Black Panther as my number 4.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah. And then Age of Ultron.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Are we ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's been great having you here and great watching the movie with you. Hopefully we can have you on
Great
again
for us as well. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And to close out.
Yeah. Thanks to all the rest of you listeners. Thanks for joining us this week on Ultimate Fan Podcast. Give us a subscribe or follow if you like what you hear. You can check us out on our Podium page, iTunes, any of your podcasting services. We're working on getting expanded out to just all different channels, and so you can find us wherever you like to listen to. But for now, the main ones are iTunes, Podiant,
YouTube.
Anything? Yeah, we have a YouTube channel at Ultimate Fan Podcast. And you can check us out all of our social medias at Ultimate Fan Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can send us an email with your thoughts or comments.
At where?
At ultimatefanpodcast@gmail.com. Comment, let us know. Leave us a review. That helps push us up so there's more recognition and more people can join in on this discussion.
Yeah, make sure on iTunes to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and a review.
Are we worth 5 stars?
I think we are.
Oh, for sure.
We
Rate
definitely
yourself.
are. Huh. Yeah. But let us know what you think of Avengers. Let us know what you think of Phase 1. We're
finished with Phase 1.
Oh my gosh, everyone. Woo, woo. Yes.
We're getting ready to move on to Phase 2. Iron Man 3 will be next episode, so you can be looking forward to that.
Yay.
I am not, but
I'm excited.
All right,
it's been so long since I've seen this movie.
I'm looking forward to being pleasantly surprised.
That's what we said about Incredible Hulk. Hopefully this will be different.
Look how that worked out.
Hey, remember that cute kid that's in Iron Man 3?
I enjoy him, and I enjoy him in Jurassic World as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the same
He's
kid.
fun.
Oh, it's the same kid.
Well,
yeah.
Wow.
Here's hoping for that.
All
Remember
right.
that time Mandarin sucked? Okay. Once again.
Tune in next week.
On that note.
Butthurt Iron Man 3 fan is still butthurt. Can confirm.
Confirmed.
Thanks for joining us on Ultimate Fan Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bam, ba-dam, bam.
I started a timer, you guys.
All right.
I'm going to put that at the end of the episode.